quiet naval base auditorium, an admiral questions an old veteran about his call sign. The man answers with 2 words, Ghost 5, a name the admiral knows should be impossible. The call sign belonged to a pilot who vanished decades earlier, saving an entire squadron. As the truth unfolds, buried guilt resurfaces, a hidden brotherhood awakens, and a silent old man becomes the center of a storm of honor, memory, and long-delayed justice. Before we begin, where are you watching from today? And if you love stories that honor courage, sacrifice, and silent heroes, please subscribe. The admiral's voice cracked like a whip across the hushed auditorium. State your call sign. Every head on the base turned toward the old veteran standing alone at the front, his spine slightly bent, his hands trembling from age rather than fear. His jacket was worn, the patches frayed. But the quiet authority in his posture made him seem larger than any uniform in the room. He lifted his chin, and though his voice was soft, it cut the space with the precision of a blade. Ghost 5. The admiral's expression didn't merely shift, it collapsed. Color drained from his face, his breath hitched, and for a moment he forgot his rank, the audience, the ceremony. His fingers tightened around the clipboard, as though those 2 words had just resurrected a ghost he had spent a lifetime trying to bury. Around him, officers exchanged confused glances, Marines stiffened, younger sailors whispered behind their palms. But the admiral, the man who knew exactly what Ghost 5 meant, staggered backward until his back brushed the edge of the podium. Because there was one thing everyone at that base agreed upon, Ghost 5 was dead. And he had died saving them all. Yet the old man before him had said the name with the calmness of someone stating his own. The air thickened with disbelief and a quiet dread. The admiral swallowed hard. Impossible, he muttered. Absolutely impossible. The old veteran stood silently, unfazed by the storm of reactions. His eyes were pale gray, clouded yet sharp enough to unsettle anyone who met them. A thin scar cut across his cheek like a faded white thread, the only visible hint of the violence he had once survived. Scattered murmurs rose behind him. Is this a joke? Ghost 5 went down with the carrier strike. No one made it out of that fire. He must be confused. But the old man didn't flinch. He simply waited, breathing slowly, his chest rising and falling beneath the sun, bleached jacket that looked at least 2 decades older than half the people in the room. Somewhere in the front row, a young ensign snickered under his breath, mistaking the veteran's stillness for weakness. That was the moment the admiral finally found his voice. Thin, shaken, and edged with something far more unsettling than fear. Sir, what did you say your call sign was? The veteran looked at him with steady, ancient eyes. I said Ghost 5. And the admiral's heart collapsed under the weight of a memory he wished had stayed buried. Long before this day, long before his hair turned silver and his body slowed into the creaks of age, the man who now called himself Ghost 5 was Nathaniel, Nate Harrow, a pilot forged from loss, tempered by war, and held together by loyalty stronger than blood. He had enlisted young, too young some said, just months after watching his older brother, also a naval aviator, vanish in a failed rescue mission off the Pacific. The military became Nate's inheritance, not out of patriotism at first, but as a desperate attempt to follow the echo of a brother whose shadow felt both comforting and suffocating. In flight school, Nate's instructors whispered that he flew like a man who had nothing left to lose. Low risk tolerance. Known fear, not detectable. Skill, unmatched. But beneath the precision, beneath the discipline, there was a hollow ache that throbbed each time he stepped into a cockpit. The ache of chasing a ghost. His squadron saw the signs. They saw the quiet grief tucked behind his quick smile, the way he touched the wing of his aircraft before every takeoff, the way others might touch a gravestone. They knew his entire soul was tethered to someone he could not bring back. And yet, he became their anchor. He was the one who walked through fire for his wingmen. The one who stayed behind during storms to help mechanics troubleshoot engines. The one who volunteered for missions others feared. His call sign, Ghost 5, was born from a rumor whispered among the crew that he carried the spirit of his lost brother with him every time he flew. They claimed he flew like 2 souls in one cockpit. Whether or not that was true, Nate never denied it. The night that cemented the legend came years later. A night of oil, thick smoke, a ruptured fuel line, and an enemy strike group closing in under the cover of darkness. The carrier burned. Chaos roared across the deck. Pilots scrambled to launch. Lives hung from a thinning thread. Ghost 5 had saved them that night, saved all of them, and then he vanished, declared dead, body unrecovered, a hero swallowed by fire and sea, a name carved into plaques, whispered in bars, etched into the hearts of those who never forgot. Ghost 5 was gone, until today. The auditorium was supposed to be hosting a simple veterans recognition ceremony. Formal, rehearsed, polite. The Admiral himself had assigned a junior officer to gather the guest list, to ensure accuracy, to verify identities. But now that same Admiral stood frozen before a man whose presence defied every record in the Navy's archives. Ghost 5 doesn't exist, one officer said under her breath. Ghost 5 died, another insisted. The Admiral's jaw clenched. He had commanded the carrier group the night Nate Harrow disappeared. He was the last person who had spoken to him over the comms. "Admiral, should I escort him out?" a Master Chief whispered. The suggestion stirred something dark and old in the Admiral. He shot the Master Chief a look sharp enough to silence a room. "No." His voice dropped to a near whisper. "No one touches him." A still tension rippled through the audience. Some stood in skepticism, others in unease, a few in growing resentment that an unknown elderly man might be mocking a sacred legacy. A couple of younger sailors snorted dismissively, whispering jokes about senility. The old man heard them, his ear twitched slightly, but he did not respond. His silence only amplified the disrespect floating around him. And the Admiral, despite everything, couldn't unravel the truth. Was this a hoax? A cruel misunderstanding? A man with stolen valor? Or, and he could hardly breathe at the thought, had something impossible happened? Something he couldn't yet explain. One of the younger lieutenants stepped forward, puffed up with self-importance and the arrogance of someone who had never tasted real loss. "Sir," he said to the veteran with a dismissive tilt of the chin, "you will provide identification or step aside. This ceremony is for verified service members only." The insult floated through the room like a spark in dry grass. The old veteran didn't move. The lieutenant repeated himself, louder this time, as if volume could create authority where none existed. "I said, identify yourself." Still, the old man stayed silent. A murmur rolled across the rows of chairs. Someone whispered that the old man might have wandered in. Someone else suggested removing him. A few even laughed nervously. The Admiral's knuckles whitened around the podium. He remembered Ghost 5's voice, steady even when the carrier deck was in flames. He remembered the last transmission. "Tell them I'm not leaving anyone behind." He remembered the explosion that cut the signal. He remembered sending the rescue drones into the black smoke, only to retrieve nothing but burning debris. And now an old man stood before him wearing Ghost 5's eyes. A quiet, composed figure who refused to defend himself with anything but presence. The Admiral finally exhaled, barely audible. "Lieutenant, stand down." But the young officer pressed on, frustrated by the old man's calm. "Sir, I am asking you a direct question." "Who?" The veteran slowly reached into the inner pocket of his jacket. The room tensed. Security personnel shifted. Hands hovered near holsters, but all he removed was a dog tag. Old, burnt around the edges, bent out of shape, but unmistakably real. He held it out, and the Admiral felt his heartbeat crash against his ribs. He knew that dog tag. He had held its twin. He had mourned the man it belonged to. The room went still. Every careless whisper died. Every mocking smirk unraveled. Something heavy and ancient began to awaken in the Admiral's memory. The veteran didn't offer explanations. He didn't ask for respect. He simply allowed the weight of the past to settle into the room like the slow descent of ash. At the sight of the dog tag, the Admiral's authority dissolved. His voice faltered, not with weakness but with reverence. Where did you get that?" The old man closed his fingers around it again, as though protecting something sacred. "Carried it," he said softly. "From the day you all thought I died." Shock rippled like thunder. The Admiral stepped toward him, each footfall heavy, hesitant, unbelieving. "You survived," he whispered. "All this time." The old veteran's eyes flickered, not with pride, but with a sorrow deeper than the ocean that had swallowed him decades ago. "I survived," he said. "But the 5 men I went back for didn't." A wave of guilt rippled through the Admiral, so palpable that even the bystanders felt it. "You tried to save them," the Admiral whispered. "I failed them. You gave everything." "No." The old man said gently, "I only lost myself." A silence spread across the room, thick, reverent, almost holy. And then something happened that no one expected. From the back of the auditorium, a man stood. He wore a simple civilian jacket, his hair as white as frost. He raised a trembling fist to his heart. "Nate Harrow," he said, "I served with you." Another man rose beside him. "So did I." Then another. And another. Old sailors, retired Marines, aging aircrew, widowers, men leaning on canes, women with medals pinned to dresses. People who had carried the memory of Ghost 5 for a lifetime. One by one, they rose in silent solidarity. The young lieutenant who had mocked him earlier felt his face flush with embarrassment as the entire room transformed around him. From skepticism to reverence, from dismissiveness to awe, from ignorance to understanding. The power had shifted completely. Not through anger, not through confrontation, but through the gravity of truth and the quiet strength of a man who needed no explanation. The Admiral's voice cracked as he said, "Some heroes never needed recognition. They only needed to be remembered." The veteran bowed his head. "My call sign wasn't a warning," he murmured. "It was a promise that even if no one saw me return, I would never stop carrying those I lost." And from the crowd came a third quote, spoken by one of the oldest standing sailors, "A man is not gone when he dies. He is gone when no one speaks his name." The Admiral stepped back, squared his shoulders, and lifted his voice so it carried across the silent hall. "All hands, stand for Ghost 5. Every sailor in the room rose. Younger ones stumbled to their feet, instinct overriding confusion. Veterans straightened, some clutching canes for balance, but refusing to remain sitting. Officers snapped to attention. Even civilians felt compelled to rise. A tidal wave of respect flowed through the hall. For a man who had been forgotten by the Navy's records, but never forgotten by the hearts of those he saved. Emotion rippled through the Admiral's voice. "Sir, you belong here more than any of us." The old veteran's eyes shimmered, not with pride, but with the bittersweet ache of healing that had taken decades. He whispered, "Thank you for remembering." The Admiral stepped forward and, in a gesture that stunned everyone present, removed the medal from his own uniform and placed it into the veteran's hand. "For the mission you survived," he said quietly, "and for the ghosts you carried so the rest of us could live." Soft tears slid down weathered cheeks. Not a single person spoke, because in that moment silence was the most sacred honor they could give, and so the ceremony became something else entirely. A reminder that some battles never end, some heroes never stop serving, and some call signs echo longer than any lifetime. Ghost 5 had returned not to claim glory, but to reclaim his name. A name that no one in that room would ever forget again. Before you go, tell me where you're watching from. And if this story moved you, subscribe for more stories that honor the quiet, unseen heroes among us. Their silence carries the loudest truths.